Welcome to my channel. Today in this short video I'm going to show you this versatile mount and explain you how it works. In a previous video, I was showing you this mount I designed for the Nebula touchscreen for my Ender-3 V2SC. But then I decided to come back to the stock firmware, meaning that I had to use again this stock screen, this TFT screen. So I designed this mount which I can use for this stock screen. But for some reasons, I decided to shift again and again and again and again. And for each time I needed to unscrew the first mount and screw in place the second mount and so on. Of course, at a certain moment it became a little bit boring. That's why I just decided to put aside this mount here, this one, and then I designed this new one for the TFT screen. Now, the way it works is very simple. I just remove the touch screen. I keep in place this mount, but then I will insert this one here. And then I can put my TFT screen. That's very easy, very simple. Now, if I no longer want to use this TFT screen, I just pull it out. I remove this mount, and then I put my touch screen. As you can see, that's very simple. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I designed this mount. First, I open Fusion 360. Now, before starting the sketch, I'm going to create a few parameters. The first parameter I'm going to create, I call it forAngle. This is the parameter that will handle the angle of the tilt of the screen. I choose no units and I type in 50. The second parameter I'm going to create is the angle. And here I'm going to use if statements. I type in if parenthesis forAngle is inferior to 40, semicolon 40. This means that the minimum angle that is allowed for the tilt of the screen is 40 degrees. If the angle is less than 40 degrees, it immediately puts it to 40 degrees. Then I type in again if parenthesis forAngle is superior to 90, semicolon, I type semicolon 90. This means that the maximum angle allowed is 90 degrees. Else, in all other cases, the angle is equal to the value we type in the parameter forAngle. So I type in forAngle here and I close the parenthesis. Now the next parameter is the thickness of the mount, thickness. And I type in 3 millimeters. the next parameter with the mountHeight. I type in 60 millimeters. You type in 65 millimeters. Okay. Now another parameter is the ribPlane, that is the head of the construction plan on which I will create the rib that will strengthen the mount. I will call it ribPlane, and here also I will use an if statement. I type in if parenthesis the angle is inferior to 50 degrees, the height of the plane would be the mountHeight times 0.75, that is 75% of the height, semicolon. Otherwise, the height of the plane is equal to half the mountHeight. So I type mountHeight divided by 2. Now I can close the parenthesis. Okay. And the last parameter I will create, I will call it distanceScrewMount. This parameter will handle the length of the screw bracket. Okay. If I want to have it longer or shorter, it depends on this parameter. So here I will type 36 millimeters, and now I can finish the parameters. Okay, now I will create a plane at an angle. I select the x-axis and I choose angle in the parameters, that is 50 degrees. I click OK. Now I create a sketch on this plane. I draw a rectangle. I show the origins. I make these two lines symmetric around this axis and these two symmetric around this axis. Now within these two lines I type in 123 millimeters, and between these two I type in 72 millimeters. I select chamfer, equal distance. I choose this corner, I type in 5 millimeters. I do the same here and here and here. Okay. Now I can finish the sketch. I display the first plane. Now I create an offset plane starting from this plane here, 5 millimeters up. Now I have the first plane and the first sketch, and I create a sketch on the second plane. I draw a rectangle. I display the origins. I make these lines symmetric around this line and these two symmetric around this one. Now between these two lines, I type in 141.
and between these two I type in 83. Now I choose chamfer, equal distance. I select this corner, I type in 8 millimeters. Then I can choose the other corners. There it is. Now I can finish the sketch. I display the first sketch. Now I select loft and I select the two sketches, this one, this one, and I click OK. This is the first body. Now I select extrude. I select the top face and I type in 5.5 millimeters. Okay. Now I select mirror. I choose bodies. I select this body. For the mirror plane, I click on the top face here. For operation, I choose join and I click OK. And here we have a rough shape of the touch screen. Now I create a mid plane. I select this bottom face and this top face. I click OK. Now I create a sketch on this plane. I choose project. I select bodies and I click on this body here. I click OK. Now I can hide the body. I select offset. I make sure that chain selection is checked. I click on the line here and I type in minus thickness minus 0.3, that is 3.3 millimeters. Now I draw a line here, and between this line and the bottom line I type in 65 millimeters. Now I finish the sketch. I select extrude. I choose all these faces. For direction I choose symmetric. For measurement I select whole length and I type in 27 millimeters. For operation I choose new body and I click OK. I'm going to add colors to distinguish. I'm going to add colors. Okay. Now I have my two bodies here. Now I'm going to select combine. For target body I select this body, body number 2. For tool body I select the screen. For operation I select cut. I make sure that new component, I make sure that keep tools is checked and I click OK. Okay, now if I had the first body, you will see that it is cut. Now I create a sketch on this face. I select project and I click on the internal face here. I click OK. Now I can finish the sketch. I select extrude, I select this face and I click on the other face. Okay, there we go. Now I create a sketch at the back. I draw a rectangle starting from here. For the distance between this side, for this and this line on this side, I type in 11.8 millimeters. Between this line and the edge here, I type in 20.8, and between this line and the bottom, I type in 19.3. Okay, now I can finish the sketch. I select extrude, I select this part and I click on the other face. Okay. Now I create a sketch on the left face here. Now I draw a first line. Now I draw a few lines like this. Now I draw a few lines like this. I make these two are horizontal and this one is vertical. I also make sure that this point is at the same position as this one. Now between these 2 points I type in 9 millimeters. Now I draw a triangle like this. I make it construction line. I make the lines construction lines. For this line I type in 40 millimeters. Here I type in 20 millimeters. Then I select circle. I draw 3 circles here on the corners of the triangle. I make all circles equal. Now for the diameter I type in 5.5 millimeters. There we go. Now between the first circle on this point I choose the the value that I put in the parameter, that is the distance between the screw and the mount, 36. Now between this line and this one, I type in 8 millimeters. Between this line and this one, also I type in 8 millimeters. Between the circle on this line, I type in 7 millimeters. Now I choose fillet. I select this corner and I type in 5 millimeters. I select this corner also, I type in 5 millimeters. Okay. And that's done for this sketch. Now I can finish the sketch. I choose extrude. I select this part and I type in -5. For operation, I select join. I click OK. I will choose offset faces. I select this face, this one, this one, this one, this one, also on the other side, this one, this one, this one, this one and this one, and I type in 0.15 millimeters. I choose offset faces again. I select this face and this one, and I type in -0.15 millimeters. And the mount is ready. Okay. Now I'm going to create an offset plane. I click on the top face here, click OK. Now I can hide the second body. Now I choose split body. I select this one, and for the splitting tool I select this plane. Select this plane here, I click OK. Now we have two bodies here. Now I can delete the top body. Okay, now create a sketch on this top face here. I draw a center line here, then here, and I make them construction lines. I draw a rectangle. I make these two lines symmetric around this line here, and these two lines symmetric around this line. Now for the distance between these two lines, I type in 72 millimeters. And the distance between these two, I type in 17 millimeters. Now I can finish the sketch. I select extrude, I choose this face, and I type in -50 millimeters. For operation, I choose cut and I click OK. Now I create a sketch on this front face. I draw a center line here, and I make it a construction line. I draw a rectangle here. I make the two lines symmetric around this center line here. Now I draw a circle on the line here. For the diameter of this circle, I type in 33 millimeters. The distance between these two lines is 51 millimeters. Between this line and the bottom, 30 millimeters. Now between the center of the circle and this line, I type in 6.5 millimeters. Now I can trim these parts here, this line and this line. Now I can finish the sketch. I select this face, I choose extrude, and I click on the other side. Okay. Now I create a sketch at the back here. Again, I draw a center line here. I make it a construction line. Now I draw a rectangle here. I make a line symmetric around this line. For the distance, I type in 12 millimeters. For the height, I type in 25. Now I create a tangent arc. I click here and here. I finish the sketch. I select extrude. I choose these two faces and I click at the back. Now I create an offset plane. I select the bottom face here. Now for the distance, I type in minus ribPlane. Remember, I put the ribPlane in the parameters. I type in OK and I click OK. I will create a sketch on this plane. I had the first body. Now I choose project. I select this body and I click OK. Now I can hide the body. Now I draw a line like this and then I create an arc. I make sure that this arc is tensioned with this line. Now for the distance between this point and this point, I type in 20 millimeters. And for the radius of the arc, I type in 8 millimeters. Now I display the first body. I choose project. I select specified entities and then I click on this line here and on this one. Click OK. Now I draw a rectangle starting from this point. I make this line constant with this one. I make this point constant with this one here. Now I draw another line here. I make it parallel to this one. The distance between these two, I type in 3 millimeters. Now I can trim this part, and this part. I finish the sketch. Now I display the second body. I select extrude. I select this surface and I type in 5 millimeters. As to join for operation, I click OK. Okay, now I choose fillet. I select this face, this line, this one here, this one, this one at the bottom, this one, and this one here, and I type in 2 millimeters. I select fillet again. I select this line here. This one, and this one inside. I type in 2 millimeters. And I come back to the first body. I choose offset faces. I select this face here, this one, then this one, also here, and here, all these faces. And now I type in minus 0.5. Okay. Now I display both bodies. I create a sketch on this face here. I select project. I click on this body. I click OK. Now I hide the bodies. I draw 2 circles, one on this line, another one on this line. I make the circle tangent to this line, another to this line. I do the same here. Now I can finish the sketch. I display the bodies. I select extrude. I choose this part. I put this part here and this part, and then I click at the back of the body to cut it. And there it is. Our mounts are ready. Okay, so we're going to name them. Okay, this one I'll call it main mount touch screen. And this one I call it insert mount TFT screen. Now I can save the bodies. And now we can go to the printer. But before that I will add fillets here and here. And before that I will add fillets here. I choose 1 millimeter. I will do the same here. I will do the same here, and here. I type in 1 millimeter.